Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday, May 20th, 2021 School Committee meeting. It is 7:04. I am calling us back into open session. We just adjourned from executive session. All members, with the exception of Ms. Hanstead, are present this evening. And I would like to welcome for their last time as Holliston High School seniors, Julia and Elise. So welcome, great to see you. And I know you're very excited for the coming weeks. We actually don't have any meeting minutes from school committee meetings, so we are going to jump right to you seniors to share all your news.
Okay, so right now we have Art Saves Lives going on. And then next week we're having our elections for the Regional Student Advisory Council. And then I was also told to promote like our Instagram because we just made one to like make any posts about what we're doing. So it's at Holliston SAC if anyone wants to follow it. And then I was talking to someone who's in student council, so we're trying to work and plan some things for the end of the year for some activities. And then I believe it's a week after the seniors are all gone, but it's going to be like the juniors are going to have step up day so they can like wear their class shirts and decorate the hallway and celebrate.
And yes, so we have some really exciting senior events coming up. We have our senior car parade on Saturday, which we're all excited for. We have graduation coming up, and some guidelines for that were very recently released, and we're all looking forward to that as well. Senior Baccalaureate is going to be on June 3rd, which is a non-denominational ceremony if anybody's interested in attending. So the last day for seniors is Wednesday, the 26th, which is super exciting. And along with that, we have Senior Showcase, which we are filming for and should be hopefully released on HCAT pretty soon. And along with that, Night Under the Stars was a big success, and with superlatives and other fun activities happening with that as well. In terms of performing arts, we recently filmed our play, and we're hoping to release that as soon as it's done with editing. And we have a big band, chorus, theater concert coming up on June 10th. And just to kind of end things, we want to thank you all for including us for the past year. We really appreciate the opportunity to share some student perspectives and to just update the community about what's going on at the high school. And also thank you for the super sweet flowers and note. We appreciate it so much. So thank you all so much for including us.
We're so proud of you and wish you much success in the next part of your journey, wherever that takes you. Did anyone want to share any comments for the students? Andy?
Sure. Thank you for being a part of this. I think that anytime we have students participate in government, it's really important. And I know that a lot of those opportunities this year have been diminished for you. So I'm glad that you're able to join us in this format and kind of see how the sausage is made, so to speak. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'd like to give you a round of applause. And we're all sitting at chairs, otherwise I would stand and give you a standing ovation, but congratulations. We can't wait to see you walk across the stage in a couple of weeks. And with that, after this evening, please feel free to, whenever you need to jump off, do what you need to do. But we're so proud of you. Keith, do you have any comments this evening? Central office comments?
It's something related to COVID supplies, so I'll bring it up later on.
Okay. Peter?
It was touched upon, but I also wanted to recognize the Art Saves Live efforts of Doug Glack and Zach Schiff and the entire art department and the tremendous student participation. It always amazes me how talented and creative our students are. And so they, there's some exhibits in the school that are in person, but then the website, which is posted to our new website shows all the artwork of the tremendous group of kids supported by their teachers. So it's awesome once again.
Susan?
So I do have some updates about graduation and changes that we met about today, given the changes that DESE and the governor have put out Monday with no previous knowledge that would be happening at that time. However, it also relates to the EBCFA policy. So I feel like maybe we should talk about it at that time, since it kind of ties into the policy and why we're making changes.
Yep. Did you have anything else?
No, I just figured, I know that people are anxious to hear that, so that will be coming when we talk about the policy.
Okay. So school committee members, quickly, does anyone have anything they want to share out? Lisa?
Since this might be my last meeting, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. It's been great working with everyone, and hopefully I'll be back, but if not, I wanted to at least say that it's been an honor, and it's been wild, and it's been kind of fun. So thanks to everybody for putting up with me.
Andy?
So, somewhat similar to Lisa, I actually know what my future will hold for me next Tuesday, which is somewhat of a relief, but it's been a very great privilege for me to serve with all of you for 6 years. And this past year in particular, I think everybody has risen above and beyond the call of whatever duty or job title they happen to have. Peter, best of luck next year with your new challenges. Keith, you've certainly held us all together this year. And Susan, shortly after you accepted a job, I turned to my wife and I said, we have this wonderful woman who's going to be taking over as superintendent. I have no idea why she wants this job this year, but you have done just a truly remarkable job. Your administrative team has certainly stepped up and figured out all of those logistics, and it's been really terrific to watch. Our teachers have reinvented schools in a way that has been truly impressive, and managed to keep all of our kids healthy and safe and all those things that they need to do as part of their job on any given year, but certainly with some significant challenges this year. So I know that you're going to be in good hands going forward, that you have some wonderful candidates. Good luck to Lisa and to Anne Louise with their re-elections, and thank you.
Anybody else? So I just want to personally, go ahead, Dawn.
I just also wanted to jump on to say thank you and how grateful I am for Andy, for Lisa, for Anne Louise, and all of the years they've put into this. I don't think anyone until they're sitting in this seat realizes how many hours you do put in. And I want to thank you for your dedication, your relentless hard work, your advocacy, and your communication and working together. We don't always agree, but you work hard and as a team, and I want to thank you for that. And as for our students, thank you so much for being a part of this. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate your advocacy on behalf of students and coming in and communicating here with us. So I really look forward to hearing about your futures, and thank you so much. In terms, I do one more quick shout out to Art Saves Lives. It's a fantastic program at the high school. And I really look forward to the day when we can be back inside the high school, seeing the displays. But just again, a shout out to the teachers that have worked around this difficult year and have made it web-based, that have sent the links out. And please, please take a look at the fantastic work that students have done, because it is available to you with the link. And next year we'll be walking in the doors to see it ourselves in person. So thank you. One other quick thing, Elise, what's the name of the play that's coming out? That it's been taped, but it's going to come out, just so the community's aware, and be on the lookout for it, because I heard it was really great.
Oh, it's called The Misdirected, and it's an original play by the members of the cast.
Great. Thank you so much.
Did someone not say about Saturday?
Elise did, but
I'm sorry.
Are you going to give a little more detail on that?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a briefer. I don't know the exact streets. I know that it went out somewhere, but I haven't seen the map. But it is definitely a briefer parade route. But we do have to be there. It's going to be certainly congested. So I encourage people to get there in a timely manner so that we can get the kids in and through the process. I know I will be at the high school with some of you, I think. So I'm looking forward to it. My first time seeing all the seniors lined up in their cars. At 1:00 it starts on Saturday.
So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Andy for his 6 years of service, and Ann Louise for her 9 years of service. And Lisa, I'm gonna not talk about you because I expect I'll see your face on June 3rd. But you know, it isn't just Thursday meetings, and there's a lot of time and effort and sacrifice from your families and you know, other parts of your life. So thank you for being part of this team. It has been so great to work with all of you, especially in this climate. So well done. Best of luck on your futures. And when we can have an in-person gathering, we will be able to acknowledge you, Mr. Morton, Ann Louise, and actually Joan Shaughnessy, who we didn't get to really say goodbye to. So that's why you didn't receive a little presentation of flowers. We will have something else for you that we will. Andy, I don't know. I didn't know if red was your color. So I said, you know what, we'll wait until we can get together, and we will certainly acknowledge your service then.
I love getting flowers. I've only received them once, but I'll take flowers.
Good to know. Okay. And I think everyone has talked about all the different activities that are coming in the next week or two. And again, of course, to our seniors, happy graduation. You won't be watching on June 3rd because most of you will be at Baccalaureate. So congratulations to the class of 2021. We're thrilled that you're moving on to a whole new world out there. So all the best. And with that, let's jump right into policy, EBCFA. And I just want to tee this up a little bit. I've heard some chatter about the policy and why the schools were so slow to respond to the CDC guidance. And so I just want to clarify for people and just let you understand the process. It is in fact true that DESE sent out new guidance without a heads up to the superintendents. And so Dr. Kuska received the information about the new guidelines for masks pretty much when everyone else did on Tuesday. The guidance is different from the current school committee policy. And so if Dr. Kuska had told everybody on Tuesday night, great, no masks outside, she would be violating school committee policy. So the school committee subcommittee of policy had an emergency meeting yesterday. They met with the chief, who's our emergency management director. They met with the nurse leader. They are presenting tonight to us an updated policy that we will vote on this evening. So if there are any questions in terms of timeliness or anything, please feel free to direct them to me. My email's on the website. But I just wanted to be clear about that because I think there was some misunderstanding and I've heard some chatter. So I just wanted to clarify that. With that, Cynthia, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. So the recommendation from our subcommittee meeting with Chief Cassidy and Lynn Bowler was for us to rescind our current policy, EBCFA, and then it would just default back to the governor's order. That is the recommendation that Chief Cassidy has given to all the other town departments. The reason why we had to meet to rescind a policy is because we never voted for an emergency plan umbrella policy that other districts might have adopted, and we never did that. So we had separate policies for several things, and we never adopted that. So theirs just kind of went away when the emergency order went away. So that's why we had to have our emergency meeting, and then this will take place. We asked for us to give us a day so we could set up things like hand sanitizing stations at all the exits and entries and give a heads up to everybody else to prepare for that. So as of Monday, students will not have to wear their masks out of doors, and adults out after, as long as they're 6 feet apart. But indoors, everyone still has to wear their masks, both students and staff. So I'm just asking if you could please rescind policy EBCFA. And I'll need a motion on that, please. If you have questions first, Dawn?
It kind of a question, sure. I know we just talked about the implications of it for outdoors for recess, but I just want to make sure I clarify so people understand the MIAA has also adopted that. And
Yes.
so would also go into effect up at our high school for sports. Is that correct in terms of outdoor sports, Dr. Kuska? So once the school committee policy that was put in place back in September is ended, that policy takes precedence. Is that correct?
Yes, and that would be per the state. So it could be the governor, but also DESE, because DESE sometimes does a little bit more restrictive than the governor's orders. So we would rely on both parties to make any future decisions.
Okay.
Lisa?
Yeah, so I just want to be 100% clear on what we're voting on. So by rescinding this, kids and teachers, everyone inside the schools will still be wearing masks.
Yes.
Outside at recess or gym or whenever they're outside, they will not have to wear masks.
No.
Even if they're not socially distanced.
Correct.
Okay.
That's per the governor's order and DESE's guidance.
No, I just want to be 100% clear. And then for sports, I know it varies by sport. Do we have any indoor sports right now?
Wrestling would be, right? Are we having wrestling?
Wrestling was during the winter, so no.
Okay.
No. Wrestling is now.
I thought
Sorry,
so.
you're right. It is now.
Okay.
It is
So
now.
wrestling is indoors, so that would be the one.
no.
They will have to wear masks.
They will have to wear masks if they're indoors.
And then just to clarify the adult piece, so it's a little strange, but adult staff that are outside with students or volunteers, if they are 6 feet or more apart, can take off their masks. But if they go less than 6 feet, they still have to wear masks, even though the students do not.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I can't explain because most of our staff are vaccinated.
Right.
So you'd have to get that answer from the commissioner, and I could not get a definitive answer on that yesterday. We didn't get that in the commissioner's meeting.
Dawn?
Are we drawing a line by age? So that would apply to students that are 18 and up, or is the line drawn by staff?
It's students. So students are just students regardless of their age, because we have kids that are up to 22, right, in some of our programs. So all students are allowed to go without a mask when outside, regardless of distance, and they will not be contact traced or have to quarantine for that reason.
Catherine?
So I have two questions. One is about the adults outside, like the teachers at recess wearing masks. This is guidance, correct? Not mandate. So if we wanted to tell the teachers they could take their masks off outside while it's 85 degrees, we could say that? Or is this written in stone?
They would have to be beyond 6 feet, is my understanding. They cannot do it unless so they can spread out and not wear masks.
Okay.
But if they're standing 3 feet together or less than 6 feet, they have to have their masks on.
And adults who are coming to sporting events, what's that guidance? Is it the same?
Yes.
So if there's spectators, they need to have masks on unless...
Well, let me clarify though. If you're in the family pod, right, that's a difference, and that will get me to the graduation piece, because that is, what will affect our graduation and what we can do. The family pod, people living in the same household do not have to be distanced.
Okay. But if there are spectators at a sport outside that are not in a family pod, they must have masks on if they're within 6 feet.
Within 6 feet.
That is my understanding about it. I always want to double check because there's so many different things out there. I will definitely reread that again and make sure that I'm answering your question correctly. And I did ask Lynn to put some bullets together. So I'm going to send something out in my end of the week update tomorrow about Monday's change and what that means.
Okay. Thank you.
How will this be enforced? And I'm talking more about athletics and town athletics. Is it unenforceable? And I'm not asking that so that people don't follow the rules, but I do think that people are social and it's a little abnormal to stand 6 feet apart, you know, having a conversation and not thinking about masks or not. So I think we need to be really mindful about reminding people and whatnot.
Yeah, and vaccination and all that plays into it. So, I mean, it is the honor system at that point, because I can't tell you that our staff are going to know if people are in a household or not and all of those things. And we can't be policing everybody. We have to trust people to do the right thing.
That doesn't preclude anyone for if they chose to wear a mask, that they can wear a mask.
Absolutely.
If families are saying that they want to wear a mask to school, then they can.
Absolutely. And also, as you mentioned, adults on our grounds, if you're only partially vaccinated or not vaccinated at all, you will likely want to continue to wear your mask.
So do you want us to vote on the policy on rescinding the policy first, or Susan, do you want to talk through graduation as well? Like, you guys tell me how you best.
Probably vote first, because if you vote not to rescind, then
that changes how we deal with graduation.
There. Okay. Are there any further questions about rescinding policy EBCFA, face coverings?
And so just let me say one more thing. One of the reasons why Chief Cassidy and Lynn Bowler suggested and advised us to rescind it was because there will be continually and potentially more guidance that's going to come out over and over again. And we're going to have to continue to keep having meetings to figure out how to negotiate it. And it doesn't make sense to do that at this point, since we're moving towards more and more opening. And I don't want to be left flat-footed again the way DESE left us with this guidance this time around.
Yeah. If there are no further questions, is there a motion to rescind school committee policy face coverings EBCFA?
Moved by Andy.
Seconded by Lisa.
Moved by Andy, seconded by Lisa. Roll call vote. Mrs. Listevnik?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Dr. Savard?
Yes.
Ms. Naborski?
Yes.
Ms. Koshin?
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi? Yes. That carries.
Thank you.
EBCFA is now rescinded. May we never have to see you again.
And we will take that off the website. So I do want to, Catherine, come back, because I did pull up the Maya. I think I emailed you, but I think I emailed you 3 or 4 things this week about the DESE changes. And so it does specify spectators and chaperones, coaches, staff, referees, umpires, and other officials who can social distance while outdoors are not required to wear a mask or face covering. But while indoors are required to wear a mask and face coverings. And then the athletes that are on the bench are not required if they're outdoors. Anytime they're outdoors and playing, they don't have to wear them. So adults are still different than students.
Right. And also our guidance might be different from, say, HISA's guidance or any of the other town sports that are not related to the school. So please pay attention to what you receive privately from those organizations.
Okay. So Susan, why don't we jump right down into old business and then we can do reports from subcommittees afterwards, because quite honestly, I don't think we have a lot to report on, and I just think it goes with the flow.
So you don't want me to talk about graduation yet?
No, I do. Like, as part of the, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So we went through the guidance that we received from DESE, and there were 3. So April 28th, correct me, Heath. I don't have. So April 28th was the graduation guidance we first received and outlined what we could and could not do. And just to clarify with everybody on the front end, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks to plan for graduation. I know people think it doesn't look like that big of a deal. you just have chairs out, you have this. It is a big deal. And whether it's indoors or outdoors, it is a big deal. We have to order chairs. We have to order, if it's outdoors on the turf field, we need extra water, and we need to have the right system for what is the system that we use on the field versus for the graduation? It's different than our, but it's not the usual system. Don't we have to order extra things for that, extra speakers and so forth? So it's a lot of extra money. It's a lot of extra materials. It's a lot of extra setup. So the chairs were ordered to support the 4 adults for each student in their family pod, and we would set up the 4 chairs for each section. So that there were 3 changes that happened this week, and we're still trying to make sure that, there's nothing that we missed. But as of right now, given the changes from April 28th to this week, graduates will now be allowed to bring 6 guests with them. And that was what it was. It did state up to 6 in the April 28th guidance, but we did not feel with the distancing we needed that we could accommodate 6. So we went with 4. But now that the restrictions are lightening a little bit, we do feel comfortable that we can revert back to the recommendation April 28th, which was the 6 guests. We still need them to pre-register because we do need to know whether or not they're in a family pod. Because if those 6 guests are from one household, they get to sit together. If those 6 guests are not from one household, we still have to ensure distancing. So that is why the registration is necessary, to make sure we don't go over in guests and have enough seats and all of that. So we did have to order more chairs from our vendor in order to get that. And my understanding, I have not heard differently, is that we will have enough chairs to accommodate up to 6 guests per student. So then, as of what we just talked about, not needing to wear masks for graduation, and for now that we rescinded the mask policy outside, students will not need to wear masks, but it is stated, but should distance when feasible. So we still want to ensure distance if possible, but they do not need to wear masks. And as of May 29th, for outdoor graduations only, attendees and staff are not required to wear masks and are encouraged to distance from individuals not in their household as feasible. They are encouraged to wear face coverings if they are not vaccinated. So that is why, as I mentioned, we need the pre-registration so that we can ensure that those 6 guests are spaced out appropriately if they're not part of the household, or should they not be vaccinated, they may need to distance as well and potentially wear the mask. So we will do the seatings within those pods, and there will be 6 feet in between members who are not in the same household. Now, I know we've had some people ask about the change in the weekly guidance this guidance from this week on graduation is that we are able to hand out diplomas to graduates. However, even though we're able to hand out diplomas, we still can't open up to what we've done pre-COVID. We still have limitations, and it's not even until June 15th that the state order is lifted. We have this information right now to go on. So while we will be able to hand out diplomas this year, we will not be able to allow them to pick faculty members or someone to choose it just because of the logistics of trying to manage that and get masks on everybody, because now the distance is gone and the adults and students would be in the same area. We wouldn't be able to ensure the safe distance and follow the regulations, but we will have a member from the administration reading the names and handing out diplomas. So that is the compromise that we can make with the current guidance. Everything else will remain in place. The staggered arrivals and departures, no gathering before or after the event, having to remain in your designated seats, no food and drink, all the maintaining of physical distancing when feasible, and we'll have event staff there to help guide people on the changes that are occurring for this new graduation guidance. And that's the bulk of the changes at this point, if you have any questions.
So students, I'm going to allow you to ask first. Do you have any questions about graduation? No? Okay.
I think it's very exciting. You know, we're not there yet. We're still in a pandemic, but to be able to get to 6 guests and to be able to not have to wear masks like we did last year during the graduation ceremony. So these are very exciting things. It's not perfect. You know, we still have some limitations, but I always say the glass is half full. I'm looking at the positive and how much better this is for our students to have this opportunity and return to as close to normal as we can for the pandemic year.
Sin?
Thank you. What's the distance between the students? Is that still 6 feet between the graduates, or is that 3 feet?
It does not need to be.
Oh, there isn't. Oh, okay. Okay. So then my other question was, and I think I know the answer to this, when we were holding graduation in the field house, we didn't have more than 7 guests. Is that correct, per family? So this is just one less, which is pretty good considering where we're at. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and that was the guidance that we received April 28th, and really hadn't changed. I know there are some districts that may be interpreting differently, but we do still have limitations by the logistics of our field and the nature of getting people in and out of there.
Any further questions?
I actually have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Julia. No, go ahead.
So since we got moved up to like 6 guests, like I know there's like the pre-registration. What if we already like registered the 4? Should we just like do it again, or like if we wanted to add like 2 extra people?
Yes, Mrs. Bottomley will be sending that out. So I'm not sure how she'll send that out. She does know that she's going to get that out sooner than later so that you can adjust that. I don't know if she'll have you redo it or just come up with another plan for the 2 additional guests, but she'll get that out to the families.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dawn?
Will it still be recorded and broadcasted over ACAT?
That is the plan, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't like to bring up the potential negative, but there is always the wild card of weather, right? I mean, you know, that will change things. So we do not have a inclement weather backup plan yet, but we are looking into that. It certainly would change drastically if we had to move indoors as to whether we could have any guests. We would be, so I'm not trying to be negative, not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but at the same token, we may need to have a plan and in the event of inclement weather.
Can we move to a different day rather than moving it indoors? Is that an option?
It depends on the vendors, whether the seats are available, when all the equipment that we're renting. I mean, I don't know what the timeline to make that change and whether we can get those materials. So that's, the wild card there as well.
Okay.
So it would be easier in some ways to move it indoors and share it out, or, we had some thoughts today, but we really haven't vetted them. So I don't want to even go there, but I do want to try to have some type of backup plan in the event of an emergency.
Dawn?
Just one more quick one. You said no food or drink. It's 2:00 on the turf and incredibly hot. Are people able to drink water, or what did you mean by no food or drink?
Yeah, I mean, we've had water, didn't we, last year as well? So I can't imagine that would be any different. I just think they mean anything more that could be. And part of it's our turf field and just not being able to share things. So the water would be available. We'll have cases. Keith, right? Did we provide a bunch of cases last year?
We had water for the students last year. The guidance from the April 28th guidance has not changed with regard to food and drink.
But that means no waters? Is that how you're interpreting it?
I'm saying that we have water there for students just because they're the stars of the show.
Yeah.
But
we're not selling food and drink or anything.
No, but people could bring water.
They can bring water, yes. Yeah. Yep. Water bottle.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for that. And that is good news. Okay. And let's just jump up to reports from the subcommittees. Lisa, anything for communications?
Nope, nothing this week.
Okay. Cynthia, you already did your policy. Budget, I would just like to publicly thank the public for those who attended town meeting and the omnibus budget passed. All of the details are in Holliston Reporter. So thank you for all who attended, and thank you for all who worked crazy hours. Mr. Boudet was part of that, HCAT, Chief Cassidy, Town Clerk's Office, Town Administrators, Select Board, more people than I can even remember. So thank you to all of you for a very safe and efficient town meeting.
And Stacy, it's one thing that the technology staff also worked extensively on.
Oh, yeah, right.
Both town and school technology staff. So.
Yeah, Chris Mayo and Dan McLeod, you're right. Thank you. That's why it's dangerous to list people off the top of my head. Sorry. And Andy, anything on superintendent's evaluation?
Yeah, earlier this week I sent out a form for all the members of the committee to fill out and to obviously submit when you're done with that. If you have additional or more expansive comments, certainly you can email those to the members of the subcommittee, which would be Cynthia and Dawn, and until Tuesday myself. Make sure you get one of them on there because I don't know how long I have access to this email after Tuesday, but certainly that's already out and we're collecting that feedback right now.
Any questions on superintendent evaluation? Is there a rubric that will be shared with the committee in terms of any goals or anything? I know this year, so let me preface this by saying this year is unlike no other, and we have been just working, we started the year off, Susan came on July 6th and went right into reopening of school plans. And so I take ownership for not corralling the committee to make sure that we actually gave her goals. Really, her ultimate goal was please just open schools as safely as possible. And that is one loaded goal, in my opinion. So I own that. And Susan, I apologize that I wasn't more forceful about that, but I just felt like we were going at 60 miles an hour and it was one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. So I think this is more of a summative evaluation at this point for you. And
formative.
Sorry, formative. Although that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't it be more summative when you just summarize anyways, we will obviously do better for next year. So I needed to acknowledge, that error in my ways, but
in all honesty, I don't really see an error there, Stacy, because I have had interims. I came in as an interim that was here for 1 year. We have long-term subs that come in for 1 year. We are not required to report to DESE evaluation criteria for people that are temporary 1 year. So technically when I started, I was temporary, and it wasn't until December that I was changed to permanent. So therefore you wouldn't have expected me to have goals in the fall. We didn't get to the point of discussing goals at any time this year. I'm happy to tell you what my goals are and get them to you tomorrow if that will be helpful for you.
It would be. Thank you.
So I have them in my head. I can easily, obviously you know what the big one is. So yes. I can formulate that if that was helpful for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that because that's been weighing on me a little bit. So, all right. So
actually, given that, if it's helpful, we can adjust the form to reflect that, or you can just add it somewhere and there's a bunch of open-ended space to answer so you can respond in any of those boxes. Up to you, whatever people feel more comfortable with.
I hate for you to reinvent the form. I know it's simple, but I feel like all year we've been reformatting and changing. So I'd rather just address them in the open-ended. That's my own personal opinion. I don't know how others feel. Yeah.
And if the form doesn't work, you can certainly just send it out in a Google Doc and just make sure it's shared with the proper people.
And I just will say to help you feel better, this is very similar to what happened to one of the boards that I help evaluate some of our collaboratives, executive directors, and this is exactly the conversation we had recently. We're in the same boat, so we literally just did the same thing for our executive director in one of the boards that I'm on. So please, it's not an unusual situation in COVID this year.
Thank you. All right. Great. Thank you, Julia and Elise. I know you two are heading out shortly. So again, thank you and congratulations. We'll see you at the parade.
Thank you so much.
At this point, we are going to move to every year at this time, we have an appointment of the school resource officer. In your packet, there's a memo from Dr. Kuska. The appointment of the supervisor of attendance is the responsibility of the local school committee in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 76, Section 19. The attendance officer is traditionally a member of the Holliston Police Department who works with administrators regarding issues related to poor school attendance and truancy, and investigates any reports of non-resident students who may be illegally enrolled in the Holliston Public Schools. The school resource officer attached to Holliston High School has traditionally been appointed to this position. Accordingly, it is Dr. Kuska's recommendation that the Holliston School Committee vote to appoint School Resource Officer Brian DeGiorgio as the attendance officer for the 2021-2022 school year, with an annual stipend of $1,600. Are there any questions? My question is Officer DeGiorgio able and willing? Or does he want to go running for the hills?
I did confirm with Chief Stone that this is also supported by him, and Brian is eager to stay in the same position as he's had for, I don't know how many years now. Do we know the number of years?
It's got to be like 7 or 8 now.
So yes, it's all good.
He took over for Gatchel.
So at this point, is there a motion to approve, to appoint Officer Brian DeGiorgio as attendance officer, as stated in Dr. Kuska's memo?
Moved by Cynthia.
Seconded by Andy.
Moved by Cynthia, seconded by Andy. All in favor. Mrs. Listevnik?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Dr. Savard?
Yes.
Ms. Naborski?
Yes.
Ms. Koshin?
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi, yes. Congratulations, Brian. Looking forward to seeing you on campus next year. Again. At this, okay. The next item for new business, at town meeting, Mary Greendale offered up a citizen's petition for a comprehensive long-range planning committee. And I'm not going to go into the details because I don't have them in front of me. But we have all talked about this at one point or another. So the petition was voted in favor of by the town. And so beginning in late June, probably early July, this committee is going to form. And it's really what it is, what it says it is, a comprehensive long-range planning committee for the town. And hopefully this will help bring together the different strategic plans across the different departments and really solidify what we as the town want to see in the future. And this will help with infrastructure and budget planning, et cetera, et cetera. So the way the committee was recommended to be formed is department heads or chairs of the elected boards and committees or their designee would be placed on this committee. We will be reorganizing in our second meeting in June, for which I will be graciously nominating somebody else to be chair, as we need a new voice for chair. I've been here for 3 years, and while it has been my honor and privilege, as a committee, we decided that 2 years was really a reasonable amount of time, and I stayed on for this year just because of COVID. So, while we don't have that chair in place yet, I would really like for the committee to consider me to be on that planning committee. It is something I've been passionate about. It's something I've been asking for and advocating for. So I would very much like to be appointed to that committee from the school committee.
I think the way it's worded, I'm trying to find the email, Keith, I think you copied on it, but I'm not positive. I thought the way it was worded is that they would have me sit in and then the school committee representative would be the backup, if I'm not mistaken. But for some reason I can't pull it up. I've got so many emails from Travis.
Well, it's
You have,
it's listed with the department head and then the elected board member.
right, so I don't know if that means both of us, that's what I'm not 100% sure on, but either way, we need to have someone as either the backup or the person that would be representing with me.
Yes.
I think it makes sense to wait until we reorganize because you guys could have 3 new members. And if that happens, you're going to really have to think about who's going to be chairing what. And I think you guys need to look at everything in total. I mean, I have no interest in, I'm happy you want to serve, Stacy, and I think that you are the right person for the job. I am not challenging that. I'm just thinking that it might make more sense when we're looking at, because I have to say that, my liaison positions have been probably bigger commitments this year than my one chair position, I think you have to balance everything out and look at who's doing what across the board and take everything into consideration at the same time.
I think it's on here because I thought there was a date of June 1st. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's...
Yeah, I think they had needed to know by a certain date or they were requesting it.
I mean, I'm sure it's not set in cement either. And we have a good working relationship with the town administrator. Happy to have the discussion at the June 3rd meeting, but we put it on the agenda because it just came out of town meeting. So I'm putting that information out there. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you for pushing this forward, Stacy. I don't think without your voice it would be happening, really.
Thanks. Okay, now we are coming to the approval of job descriptions. And for those of you who have been on the committee for more than 3 years, some of you are probably saying, we don't approve job descriptions. Actually, we do. And so we have a couple here that Susan will further talk to that we as a committee will vote on to approve these. So with that, Susan, Dr. Kuska, I will turn it to you.
Sure, I'm looking to see what order they're in there, but I have 3 positions that we have the draft, which I'd like to approve and finalize tonight for Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations. And yes, that is a new title, but it would replace the business manager position. Given the needs of the district and COVID and all the things that have happened this year, we certainly learned how important and valuable the role of our business manager has been, even though it was already known prior to me arriving. But I would like to recommend that we approve the change from business manager to Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations with all of the, I used some job descriptions that are out from other departments and we revised it to fit the needs of our district. And then I would, if that job description is approved, I would recommend to appoint Keith Boudet to this position of Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, and then we would no longer have a business manager role, and then I would work with him on a new contract related to that role. So if you have any questions about any of the skills or background that we put in here, I'd be happy to speak to it. It's a lot, and because he does a lot.
Questions? Comments? Personally, I just want to say publicly, I think this has been a long time coming. I am strongly in favor of this. And after what we have seen this year, for our 3 administrators sitting in front of us for the entire team, I couldn't advocate for this more. I absolutely. But any questions on the job description itself? Anything, Catherine?
I was going to try to make a joke about whether or not we know if the guy who's in the job can even really do it well, but then I couldn't say it with a straight face. So hard earned and well deserved.
But I also think too, this is a pivotal, I'll talk about the next one, job description after this, but I think this is a pivotal time as we are developing some new members to our team and moving into strategic planning to have the 2 assistant superintendents with equal footing and support to our team. It's just, I think, a really strong statement to make of the collective team working together for the good of Holliston.
Yes, and I know that Keith does a lot in terms of onboarding. He's onboarded every one of us on the committee. Actually, I don't know if Catherine's gotten the benefit of a lot of onboarding from Keith Boudet, but
not this year.
More to come.
That's why she said she wasn't sure he was capable of doing this, because she doesn't know from experience. I get you back.
My other question is, do we have additional support for Keith within this position or underneath this position?
We did talk about trying to shift some of the, what I've said to Keith is I need to, and I think this is more about how he and I strategize together. And I also want to wait till the other assistant superintendent comes on board, because I think we want to work together, the three of us and Kelly, to talk about what we can shift off of this role of that Mr. Boudet owns, because quite frankly, what I've said all year, and especially at the beginning of the year, all hands on deck. And if ever that was more needed this year in COVID and the village that has taken on all these extra duties. But Mr. Boudet sometimes takes on too many of those duties. So I need to find a way for him to balance that and shift some of those more physical duties off of his plate. So we haven't had enough time to digest that. But should you approve this, then we will come up with a sort of a plan about what can be shifted and maybe shared with the other assistant superintendent roles, some tweaks to that, so that we can have equity among the distribution of responsibilities.
I look forward to that colorful organizational chart.
Yes, that will be redone shortly. Well, after we get positions hired.
Of course.
Have we budgeted for replacing signage on door and desk? Because that would be important.
We have a 3D printer. We'll be fine.
Can you order your own sign?
We have a 3D printer. We'll be fine.
Oh, fancy.
Oh, I was going to offer my black Sharpie. All right. Are there any serious questions about the assistant superintendent of finance and operations? Is there a motion to approve assistant superintendent of finance and operations job description as in your packet?
Enthusiastically, yes. Moved by Cynthia. Sorry.
Seconded by Catherine.
Moved by Cynthia, seconded by Catherine. All in favor, Mrs. Listevnik?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Dr. Savard?
Yes.
Ms. Naborski?
Yes.
Ms. Koshin?
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi? Yes. Excellent.
Congratulations, Keith.
Congratulations, Keith.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
And the next job description, Susan?
So the next one you've seen posted already, just because it was time sensitive. Once the budget was approved last week, I couldn't wait any more time to get it posted. But we did have another go through it. I worked with Kelly Camp, because obviously she's our students supports director, and she and I worked through trying to find balance, because this is a unique position. It is, many districts are now having positions that are diversity and inclusive positions, but this is what I consider half social emotional learning and half equity. And there's definitely an umbrella and overlap between those, because when you have supportive schools with equity, then social emotional learning improves as well. It improves the culture overall when we address some of the anti-bias work and anti-racism that we need to have in the district. So to me, they go very much hand in hand, but they are unique skill sets, because we often see someone that's an adjustment counselor might take on the SEL piece, and then sometimes someone with no education background can fill the equity part of the role. So it is going to be difficult filling this role this late in the season. I'm hopeful, and we have some applicants already, and we just spread it to other places, but this is the revised version of the draft that I shared with you before. And at this point, I would like to take this for a vote so that this will be the position as advertised moving forward.
Great. Questions, Lisa?
I just wanted to see when is the closing date on it again? I know you told me this in our meeting.
Initially, just because of the timeline, I think we posted it on the 12th and right shortly after town meeting. And then I put it for 2 weeks just because I'm trying to get the interview started. But I am going to push it out till, I believe, March 30th or 31st to give a little more time, because I think it's posted. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm pushing it ahead. I think we just got it on NemNet which is a diverse site that has access to diverse candidates. So that was something I believe, got it done today. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't confirm that. But that did have a cost associated with it. So I'm hopeful that that will now connect us to some more diverse candidates as well. So that would be, I think I asked Lisa to push it to May 31st.
Well, May 31st is Memorial Day, which is a Monday. Could we do it to maybe June? Could we at least do it one day after that? I'm wondering if, because the 31st is then, the 30th would be a Sunday, so you're working back. So really, if we close it on Friday, the 28th, that's only like 3 more days.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. I'm just worried about our ability to fill this position and get the right person this late in the season. And I also, I talked to Diverse Holliston, as you know, Lisa, some of your team yesterday. And obviously the later we go, the slimmer a chance, because there are other districts that are also filling this position right now or just recently did. So it's going to be hit or miss timing wise. I don't want to just fill it if we don't find the right person either.
Yeah,
so, you know.
I think if we could leave it open just a couple of extra days early in June, it just seems like, because I know that you're already getting applications and you can already start doing, or someone can already start doing phone screening and all of that stuff. So I was just hopeful that, because I know Diverse Holliston was really going to try to come up with ways to get it spread far and wide, just because the people in that group have a lot more resources than your average.
Yeah, I've gone different ways on these types of positions, and when you're posting, because when you don't put an end date, or if you give an open-ended date, then sometimes people just wait to the last minute because they want. But when you have a definitive date, so it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I mean, I definitely can extend it out till the 1st or the 2nd. But I think I need to start trying to at least screen some of the candidates that we have already.
Are we going to have a search? Are we putting together a search committee for this person?
I'm working on,
I should say, not the person, but the position.
I'm working on that, and I'm going to be sending out some communication tomorrow to try to get at least the facilitator for that team. And once I have that in place, then I can share more information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Not an internal facilitator.
So, Dr. Kuski, where is it? It's posted on School Spring, and did you say NEMNET? Is that what it is?
Yes, NEM, NET, and don't ask me to remember the acronym, but it's a highly recommended site to seek the diverse individuals, someone that could fill a position like this. And they have a very wide range of ability to attract candidates there. But it's also, I asked her to put it on multiple, I sent it out, I had Lisa send it out to MPDE, Mass Partnership for Diversity in Education. I asked Dr. Khalees Warnham, who has been, that Peter has set us up to work with. We had a meeting with her on Monday, and I asked her to send us any candidates if she had them. Diverse Holliston team is now sending it out to anyone that they know. I asked our consultant for the assistant superintendent search to send it out. So I also asked Lisa to send it out to MASPA, but I don't know if I've seen it go out. But it's so many emails that I'm backed up. I don't know if I've seen one that came through, because I get the MASPA emails as well. So I will confirm that as well.
So I just actually had a question about the job description, where you talk about the licensing requirements and the master's degrees that or higher that the person would hold. And I know I've talked about this before in budget discussions, actually, when we were talking about it originally, but that I would love to see the requirements for, I know you have it written here that other people can apply to. Such alternatives to the above qualifications as a superintendent may find appropriate. But I know I had said to you before, just voiced that I'd love to see like an LICSW or a DSW be included in this, because it opens up a lot of doors for us for having interns, masters of social work interns in the schools, working with a lot of the systemic issues, but also the curriculum, and depending on the level of social work that they're in, the approach, the modality, it would really affect the way that they could be interacting with the schools. I know that you've written there that it could be at your discretion, but sometimes when people are doing job searches, they search for specific licensures.
I was going to say the same thing, Don.
So I would encourage or request that it also says LICSW or DSW or just more than just the education piece, because I really do feel like a clinician who's been working in schools for many years would be a great fit for this position also, and that I don't think this would come up in their job search.
Understood. I mean, we may want to change it, and even the master's degree and the DESE director supervisor license. I thought I had changed it, and I think it should say preferred, because someone with a bachelor's may fill this position well as they don't necessarily need the director supervisor license, but if they're a licensed educator, then they would need the director supervisor license. So it depends on what their background is coming into the role. And you could also find someone that can fill the equity piece and then also acquire more skills. And it's that balance of also not want to rule out one or the other of someone's background that actually brings some skill sets. So let me think about how we can word that and add it so that it would come up in the manner that you're speaking without ruling out someone that doesn't have that, but.
Yeah.
Right. I think you originally had it on the description, so I was surprised to see it taken off.
I'm not sure now. I honestly, we've had 4 different versions, so it's possible when we moved it, I worked off of a different one, but this is the one that Lisa had tweaked for me most recently. So I will go back and double check on that and adjust it.
And then my only other question or suggestion was that, a lot of the things that the websites that you're talking about are local to Massachusetts, but I do think we could get really good candidates from Connecticut and Rhode Island. And maybe if you were to post this like on Indeed or some sort of more mainstream platform, it might reach more people.
I think we also put it on LinkedIn. And I do believe I asked Lisa about Indeed, but I need to go through the list and see which one she's posted it on already, because we're also in the hiring season, so she's been swamped as well. So let me double check on that.
I wanted to make sure we were going.
That was
we were located. We should be looking beyond just the Mass borders.
Yeah, and
a wide net.
And LinkedIn is a place where we would also get exposure and traction out of state as well.
Yeah.
Susan, for the reports too. Is it problematic when you do superintendent of schools / assistant superintendent? And I know down in the responsibilities, there's discussion about, I just read it. Develop and coordinate efforts with the assistant superintendent and director of student services. I'm just, from an HR perspective, ultimately, does this person report to you with input from all of the, the assistant superintendent, the director of student services, curriculum leaders, et cetera?
I think we need to vet that a little bit, because that goes back to that organizational structure and how we want it to exist, because I look at it as the central leadership team. So if it's going to be that the director of SEL is equivalent to the student supports director, and the assistant superintendents are technically a step above that, but they don't necessarily have to be the report to. If we're trying to build the leadership team as a collaborative team, then it might make sense to have them report directly to me for that reason. And then our central leadership is a balanced team. Does that make sense? They're not quite as high in the stance as assistant superintendents. So I'm open to either suggestion, if Peter or Keith, because I'm also thinking now that we headed the assistant superintendent for finance and operations, we would then have to specify which assistant superintendent role too. So thoughts, Peter? Because I do think it's important to coordinate efforts with the assistant superintendent. And again, I'd have to add which assistant superintendent there and the director of student services. So does it make more sense to just have them report to me, as far as we are all in one team together?
I think so. I mean, I think it would be either to you or to my role. But because I can see, Kelly's role certainly doesn't report to me. It's not an assistant superintendent, but it's like you say, it's in that tier of that leadership team. So she might make more sense.
Yeah, and she is also listed as a director, so that's why I think it should be equivalent to Kelly's role, and that would then report up to me. So I think I'll revert back to that. on the top and leave the bullet down below with the coordinating with the assistant superintendent and director.
So just to clarify, so this person will report to the superintendent of schools.
Yes, we'll take out that second up the top, the assistant superintendent that the reports to.
Okay.
And then I will add the preferred next to the director, supervisor license, degrees, and also preferred licensed social worker.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the responsibilities or qualifications? All right. So, so Susan, you said you will update the third bullet under qualifications to reflect something about
It's preferred. The master's degree or in DESE's license would be preferred, and licensed social worker license would be preferred, or background would be preferred.
Okay. With that being said, it doesn't look like anyone else has any other questions. Is there a motion to approve the job description for the Director of Social Emotional Learning and Equity with the amendment to the qualification third bullet as discussed this evening?
Moved by Lisa.
Seconded by Catherine.
Moved by Lisa, seconded by Catherine. All in favor? Mrs. Listevnik,
Yes.
Dr. Savard,
Yes.
Ms. Koshin,
Yes.
Mr. Morton,
Yes.
Ms. Naborski,
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi, yes. Excellent, thank you. And third and final. Oh, Susan, you're on mute.
The third position that I would like you to approve the job description for is an updated data system specialist role. As you may or may not know, Susan Garvey, our current data person, has given her notice effective when we are ready to let her go. Basically, she will stay with us as long as at least up through August. However, if we fill the position sooner, she is happy to exit at the end of the school year. And since we have not, I can't remember if it's on School Spring yet, it may be, but this has been, Dan's department has made some changes to this role. So this is the way we will be listing it for the future and current job posting. And I don't know if you have any questions about this, but if there's anything specific, I would want to fall back to asking Dan if you had any suggestions, and I will then have him look at that.
Any questions? No? Dan did a great job with this job description.
He did.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the data systems specialist as described in your packet.
Moved by Dawn.
Seconded by Cynthia.
Moved by Dawn, seconded by Cynthia. All in favor. Mrs. Listevnik,
Yes.
Dr. Savard,
Yes.
Ms. Koshin,
Yes.
Mr. Morton,
Yes.
Ms. Naborski,
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi, yes. Thank you. There is no newsletter tonight, correct, Lisa? All right, excellent. Keith, can you share the warrants? Because I just signed and ran tonight.
Certainly. I didn't get to do my one COVID thing, so I'll quickly do that.
Oh.
Through DESE, MEMA provided some supplies for us that we actually picked up in Franklin the other day. Just a quick summary of it. We received 1,200 KN95s, 600 N95 masks, 4,000 basic level 1 masks, 125 face shields, 240 isolation gowns that are large, 270 extra large isolation gowns, 504 towelettes, 500 bottles of sanitizer, and 2 cases, so 60 rolls of paper towels. And on to warrants. We have a school bill warrant in the amount of $207,383.12, of which $3,700 and $30.80 was attributed to COVID. And I'm not adding a number, Cynthia, sorry.
Okay.
I thought Stacy was doing that. Another school bill warrant in the amount of $339,763.05, of which $690 even was attributed to COVID. A third school bill warrant in the amount of $87,093.58, of which $96.96 was attributed to COVID. And a cafeteria bill warrant in the amount of $18,780.01. That's $18,780.01.
Thank you. So we don't have any items of information for you in the packet tonight. Our next meeting date is sorry, I gotta check the date now. Tuesday, May 25th at 4 o'clock. Specifically, our two agenda items are the school choice seats and the superintendent contract. And if you're asking, well, why do you have to have this at 4 o'clock on election day? By law, mass law, we need to provide information about our decisions about school choice seats to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education by June 1st. And so our next regularly scheduled school committee meeting is June 3rd. So on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we will specifically just be discussing school choice seats, and we will vote on the superintendent contract. And that will be held remotely at this point. And then our following meeting will be June 3rd, which quite honestly, we haven't gotten there yet. I don't know what we're talking about at that meeting. I need a couple of days to recover from this week.
Stacy, I probably should have mentioned this earlier when we were talking about updates, but I do want to remind everybody I sent out earlier today a recording from last night's assistant superintendent candidate forum, which went very well. We had our 3 finalists interviewed by community members and staff for about 45 minutes each. So I sent out the 3 resumes for the individuals as well as that recording. And I did also send the form that Dr. Gary Maestas had done for us as part of his facilitation of this process. And I'm asking people to take time, if they did not attend last night, to watch those videos and feel free to give feedback that will help us move forward and make some final decisions about which candidate or candidates to continue to vet. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Dawn?
By which date would you like to receive the information from folks so that they can watch it too?
Yes, I sent it as May 24th, by Monday, May 24th at 6 p.m., just because we're on such a tight timeline. And I also don't want to lose a candidate potentially to another district in the meantime, because we're moving so fast.
Thank you.
Great. So again, just quick reminder to the community, please go out and support the senior class of 2021. I can say that they will be driving down Washington Street for sure, and I believe Highland Street is the other. So if you wear your mask and social distance, or just be safe. And it's at 1 o'clock. Congratulations to the seniors. We're so proud of you. Be safe. And until Tuesday, thank you. Good night, all. Have a good night. Oh, I need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yes. Moved by Cynthia.
Seconded by Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
As his final act on the wire.
Yes, seconded by Andy. All in favor. Mrs. Listevnik.
Yes.
Dr. Savard.
Yes.
Ms. Koshin.
Yes.
Mr. Morton.
Yes.
Ms. Naborski.
Yes.
Mrs. Raffi. It is 8:17. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening.
It's been a pleasure, Mr. Morton.